It was just sex. That's all it was. My wife, with whom I've been with for almost 25 years, says for the thousandth time. I don't love him. I only love you, she sobbed, following me from room to room as I tried to ignore her. You have to believe me, honey. I really do love you, and I'm so sorry for what I did to us. Please, talk to me, Michael, okay? What brought us to this point? What made my loving wife cheat on me? A simple, stupid mistake on her part. Jessica and I had known each other since 8th grade. We dated almost all through high school and got married as soon as I graduated from college. I was never handsome, but at 75 pounds and 180 centimeters tall, I wasn't a midget either. Jessica had always been a 10 in my eyes. At 180 centimeters tall and weighing 52 kilograms, with long brown hair, she was my angel. I was smitten from the first day I saw her and proposed to her the summer between my second and third year of college. After the engagement, Jessica made it clear that we wouldn't have sex until our wedding night. Don't even ask me, Michael. I will be an intact virgin on our wedding night, she told me. I want my gift to my husband to be as pure as freshly fallen snow. After a statement like that, would you insist on doing your own thing? I did, but it got me nowhere. In fact, I was a virgin too. Before Jessica, I had gotten to second base with a couple girls, but that was it. No one, including Jessica, knew I was still the cherry on top, so to speak. I desperately wanted to gain experience before our wedding night, but there was no way I was going to cheat on Jessica. So I did what every red-blooded American guy does. I watched adult movies and engaged in self-pleasure. Before our wedding night, I had watched probably over 100 DVDs and read about 20 books on sexual themes. A few of my buddies even rented a prostitute for my bachelor party, but all I did was talk to her and ask her questions about this and that all night long. The next day, when they asked how she was doing, I winked at them and told them I'd learned a lot from her. It wasn't even a lie. For over 4 hours, Carrie, a prostitute, told me about what women like and dislike and what to expect on their wedding night, because Jessica was a virgin. Above all, she advised me to take my time. You have your whole life ahead of you, but your wedding night with Jessica will be just one. Proceed slowly, gently, and you'll both remember it for the rest of your lives. She thought it was cute that I was saving myself for our wedding night too, but I swore her to secrecy. After all, I was a guy and had to maintain my reputation as a stud. The wedding was something out of a fairy tale. Jessica was dressed in white and was the most beautiful bride I had ever seen. Our friends and family attended the wedding and surrounded us with love and support. We slipped out of the hotel just after 12:30 and took a limo to the Radisson, where I had booked the bridal suite. The room seemed endless, with a jacuzzi at the foot of the king-sized bed. If I expected Jessica to be shy, I was in for a surprise revelation. Help me get this dress off, she said, trying to undo the zipper. I can't wait until we're in bed. There was obvious impatience in her voice. With the dress already on the chair, we opened a complimentary bottle of champagne and toasted to us. The champagne was terrible, but I had prepared. I ordered 2 bottles of Jessica's favorite wine and 6 bottles of Corona. We weren't going to take any chances. With drinks in hand, we headed to the hot tub, where we got to know each other's bodies much more intimately. Believe it or not, this was the first time I had ever seen Jessica completely naked. She had 34 C-size breasts, a slim waist, a nice round ass, and a neat bush. I'm going to be at my best tonight, I thought as I pulled Jessica out of the water. I threw back the blanket, and on the red satin sheets we began to make love, using our lips and tongues for the first hour. Jessica had full lips and a very wet tongue. She skillfully used both as we kissed and exchanged saliva while my hands moved from one breast to the other. I teased her relentlessly. She was more than ready. When Jessica started breathing so hard I thought she was going to hyperventilate, I pressed my face to hers, kissed her gently, and told her to relax. I'm in no hurry, my love. We have the whole night ahead of us. I whispered to her. Jessica grabbed me so tightly I thought she was going to strangle me when her lips pressed against mine. Now, I need you now, she said blandly. I want you inside me right now. I've dreamed of this my whole life, and I want you now. I could feel her body climaxing, but to my surprise, she was silent. Well, at least for a few seconds. Oh, God! She screamed loud enough to wake up the entire hotel floor. Now, Jessica exclaimed. My moans merged with her muffled screams as we both climaxed, almost simultaneously. Oh my God, that was so wonderful. God, I'm so glad we waited, she said, smiling at me. I didn't realize you were such an accomplished lover. Thank you, and thank you for making my wedding night so special, she said, kissing me again. That's how our life began and continued, at least until a couple weeks ago. We had 2 children, named Keith and Carla. We moved on with our lives, and although money was always tight, we were happy, or so it seemed to me. Most of our savings went to college tuition, but it was worth it. Keith got his MBA and Carla graduated from nursing school. Not bad at all, I thought as I looked back on my life. For the past 3 years, Jessica and I had been saving up for a vacation for the 2 of us, something like a second honeymoon. After looking through all of the travel brochures, we decided on Hawaii. We planned a 2-week vacation for our 25th anniversary. Thursday afternoon, I got a call from my buddy, Donovan, who works with Jessica. Hey, Donovan, how are you doing? I asked. After a little small talk, Donovan stunned me. Michael, are you and Jessica doing well, marriage-wise? He asked. What the hell kind of question is that? I replied. Okay, Donovan, if you have something to say, spill it. What's going on? Look, it may be nothing, but there's a rumor going around the office that Jessica is hanging out with a coffee vendor, he said. A coffee vendor? What are you talking about? Come on, don't talk nonsense, Donovan, I said, starting to get angry. Michael, Jessica is in charge of buying all the office supplies, including coffee. This guy comes in once a month to restock, and lately, Jessica has been going out to lunch with him. That's it? Jessica probably goes to lunch with a lot of salespeople. It would take a lot more than that to make me jealous, I answered him. That's what I thought too, until I heard 2 women say they had lunch at the Super 8 motel, and it wasn't for the food. I don't know if those rumors are true, but I thought you should know. By the way, I told these 2 busy people to stop spreading rumors, or they will have to look for another job. Unfortunately, I don't know who else is saying it. Donovan explained. I asked him who the salesman was, what company he worked for, and when he was due again. Michael, that's why I'm calling. He'll be here tomorrow. Please don't do anything. I'll take it from here, I told him. I don't think Jessica is fooling me, but I'll check it out anyway. I thanked him for his concern and asked him to say hi to Maggie, his wife. Could Jessica be cheating on me? No way, I said to myself, but if something was going on, I was going to find out. Jessica came home at her usual time, and dinner was nothing out of the ordinary. I showered, shaved, and waited for Jessica to get into bed. Wow, Jessica said, panting. I don't know what got into you, but I loved it, she said, kissing me. We haven't done this in a long time. I could keep you in the bedroom all weekend, you beast, she growled. We lay in each other's arms until we both fell asleep. There's no way my Jessica is cheating on me, I said to myself as I fell asleep. I woke up on Friday with a wide smile and in a good mood. I tried to kiss Jessica before getting up, but she pushed me away. Morning breath, was all she said. Work was going smoothly when I glanced at the clock. It's 10:45. I know I'm wasting time, but I'll check anyway, I thought as I headed to Jessica's place of work. I parked in an inconspicuous spot near the entrance of the building and waited. What the hell am I supposed to do now? I said to myself as Jessica and the tall blonde man walked out of the building. I followed them for about 10 minutes until they stopped in front of the Super 8 motel. Shit, there's no restaurant here, I said to myself, starting to get angry. When he came back with the key and helped her out of the car, I was beyond furious. I was shaking. I watched them walk into room 202, sitting in the car and building up anger. I would have loved to say that the pizza delivery guy arrived, or that they came out 2 minutes later and went to the restaurant, but that didn't happen. After another 10 minutes, I got out of the car, walked to room 202, and knocked on the door. Jessica Moore, I know you're in there. God damn it. If you care about your future, open this door right now, I yelled, not caring who heard me. I heard, oh shit, and how did he know? Just before the door opened. It's not what you think, Michael, was the first thing out of her mouth. Jessica, you have no idea what I'm thinking right now, I replied. My wife is in a motel and cheating on me with a damn coffee vendor. That's what I'm thinking about, I said, looking for the asshole with my eyes. I found him in the bathroom, behind the shower door. I swung it open, shattering the glass. Sure. Grabbing him by the hair, I dragged him through what was left of the shower door. Smacking his head against the porcelain sink, I saw his nose explode and blood sprayed in all directions. Lifting his bloody face, I whispered in his ear. Listen to me very carefully, I said in an almost hoarse voice. You are going to take Jessica back to work and never speak to her again. Do you understand? He nodded. And if I ever see your face again or hear you say one word to my wife, I'm going to rip your tongue out and shove it up your ass. Turning around, I told them, You have 5 minutes to get the hell out of here starting now, and walked out the door. Michael, we need to talk, Jessica started before I could shut her up. Jessica, don't say a word. Don't say a word, I told her. I'm so angry right now. I just need to get away from you before I do or say something I can't take back, I yelled as I walked to my car and drove away. By the time Jessica got home, I had moved all of her clothes and belongings into the spare bedroom. She came over to me crying and apologizing, but I wasn't in the mood to listen. All this talk about it being just sex started Saturday morning as she convinced me she was right. By Sunday afternoon, I was tired of it and tried to avoid her, but she followed me around like a lost puppy. Finally, I'd had enough. Jessica, shut the hell up, I told her. There's nothing you can say to explain the fact that you've been cheating on me for God knows how long, I yelled. 3 months, she said through sobs, 3 times. I'm so sorry, Michael. You have to believe me, she said, already openly sobbing. And if I hadn't caught you, how long would this have lasted? I asked. That silenced her. Stay away from me and shut the hell up. I don't want to hear your guilty voice until you're ready to say what I want to hear. Do you understand? She shook her head and retreated to the spare room to cry in peace. The next 3 weeks were something out of the realm of a dream, or should I say a horrible nightmare. We lived as roommates, and finally, Jessica broke the silence over dinner Wednesday night. It wasn't planned, Michael. It just happened, she began. We used to tease each other all the time, and one day he took me out to dinner. At first it was just lunch, nothing more. Then something changed. He started telling me what a lucky husband I had, how great I looked, and how I had to work out at the gym every day to look so trim, she said, already crying. I didn't realize it had gotten this far until we were in the same room. Don't you realize he was playing you, Jessica? You can't be that stupid, can you? I replied. Damn, it's been so long since I've heard compliments on how good I look. I let it all go to my head. That's all. Don't put this on me, Jessica. Just because I don't tell you every day how good you look isn't an excuse for you cheating on me, I said, losing my temper. I know it is. I just lost my head. I felt so bad after the first time that I was going to confess to you that night, but you were in such a good mood when you got home that I decided to wait. The second time, I told him it was a mistake and that we couldn't do it again, but we did it anyway. I was too weak. He wasn't better than you, just different. He's much younger than us and can recover in 20 minutes, she babbled. Michael, I experienced something I had never experienced before. I have a new standard for comparison. I know you've had many women, but you were my only lover. Hell, I'd only dated 2 guys before you, so I was a virgin when we started dating. So you went looking for a younger guy to compare him to me? Jessica, I'm not buying it, I told her. You don't understand, Michael. I wasn't looking for anyone. I was happily married to you. You have to believe that. It's just that after the first time, I compared everything he did with me to what we've done for the last 25 years. We tried different positions and other things I never let you do with me. It was like I was learning all over again. That's bullshit, I said, standing up. You make it sound like you're taking a damn college course. I tried to bring something new into our bedroom, but you blew me off every time. Remember? And now you're telling me you did to this guy what you always refused to do to me? Think about it, Jessica. How am I supposed to feel? I said, slamming my fist on the table. The woman I loved more than life has bullied me. You make me sick. I'm so sorry, Michael. Please know that it's over. I know we can work through this, honey. It's only over because I caught you. That's why it's over. I have no idea what I'm going to do, but right now it's in your best interest to stay away from me and let me recover, I told her. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go get drunk and try to forget about this if possible, I said as I grabbed my car keys. After my third beer, I realized that drinking wasn't going to solve my problems. Did I want to stay with Jessica? I thought I did, but I was still furious about the whole situation. I wanted to get back at Jessica and get her partner fired from her job too. I was about to leave when I looked around and scrutinized my seat. There were a lot of couples of all ages around, but mostly singles trying to get to know each other. Being young and single again, I muttered to myself as a middle-aged woman sat down on the stool next to me. She was blonde, around 40 years old, with a rather ordinary appearance. Taking her drink, she turned to face me. A real meat market, isn't it? She said with a slight smile, each trying to say exactly what they need to say to get the other into bed. It's pretty pathetic, to be honest. Hi, my name's Sarah. What's yours? Michael Moore, I replied. Do you come here often? Not really. I had a bad day at work and decided to relax a little before I went home to my husband and kids. Are you married? Yes, for the moment, I said. Is your wife cheating? Yep. I caught her with someone else, I told her. After 25 years of marriage, I never would have expected that. I guess I was too naive. Unfortunately, it happens every day, Sarah said, sipping her drink. I, too, caught my husband where he shouldn't have been and almost kicked him out. It took us a while to work it out. I made him pay for it, but eventually we came to an agreement and moved on. What did you do? Kicked him out for a while? I asked. Something much better. I brought home lovers and had sex with them in our bed, she said in a cold tone. I gave him a choice. Put up with it or leave. At that point, I didn't care what he chose. A couple weeks later, he asked to talk to me. Heck, he was on his knees begging me to give him another chance. He swore he would never stumble again. Long story short, that was 9 years ago, and as far as I know, he's been faithful ever since. But he knows if he makes another mistake, it's over. So I wish you luck. And remember, we're all human, and we all make mistakes, Sarah said as she grabbed her purse. Some mistakes can be forgiven, and others you will have to pay for. Only you can decide which ones, she added, turned and walked away. Interesting, I said, finishing my last mug of bouillon. I could really get that kind of payback, but do I want to take things to that extreme? The next day, I leafed through the yellow pages until I found the escort section. Seeing a small ad, I called the number listed. Lovely lady escorts, the girl on the other end of the line answered. How can we help you today? She asked. Good morning, I replied. I have a couple questions about your services, I said. Have you used our agency's services before? No, I haven't, I replied. May I have your name, address, and a phone number where I can call you back? No problem, I said, giving her all the information. You'll get a call back shortly. Have a good day, she said and hung up. 20 minutes later, a man called me back. Good morning, Michael. Sorry to bother you, but you can't be too careful these days, can you? My name is Dan. How can I help you today? I'm looking for a girl between the ages of 28 and 40 who can fulfill my needs, if you know what I mean, I announced. White, black, Hispanic, or any other preferences? He inquired. It doesn't matter. I just want her to look good. I'm going to really piss my wife off, I said with a smile. Looks like someone got caught with their hand in the cookie, he replied with a raised eyebrow. It happens. Trust me. We agreed on a time, and Dan assured me he'd take care of the rest. Don't worry. If something doesn't suit you, just say the word. That evening, I was on the verge of death, having dinner with Jessica. At 7:30, someone rang the doorbell. I let Jessica answer it while I did some cleaning in the kitchen myself. Michael, there's a girl at the door, and she says she's here to see you, she said, a look of utter bewilderment on her face. She's here early, I replied as I headed for the door. Hi, Michael. I'm Kathy, she introduced herself, extending her hand. Oh, you're so sweet, little lady. Let's go somewhere we'll be more comfortable, I said, leading her up the stairs, to which Jessica looked on in surprise. Katie was about 28 and had the body of a 16-year-old. She was slender, with small breasts and a firm ass. What she lacked in size, she made up for in enthusiasm. I paid her agency fee and gave her a $50 tip. She kissed me at the door and told me to call her if I felt the need again. That week, history repeated itself twice more, first with a black girl with large breasts, then with a short but plump Oriental beauty. Jessica said nothing, though she refused to open the door after the second time. The girls were nice and helped me reach new sexual heights, but something was still missing. Good morning, Dan, I began. We need to talk about the girls you send, I told him. What's wrong, Michael? Are they not living up to your expectations? Shit, Dan. I guess they can take a dead man down. But I expected something more. They don't just keep track of time, but there's no personal connection, if you know what I mean, I explained. I think I understand what you're after. It's called Experience with a Girl. Let me send you another girl tonight, and tomorrow tell me what you think, he suggested. I want to be sure you'll be satisfied. After all, I have a reputation to uphold. By the way, how's your better half doing? He asked with a laugh. She's not saying a word, I replied. A couple more girls, and I can guarantee she will want to talk to you, if for no other reason than to see where you two are headed, he said. I thanked him and told him I'd contact him in the morning. Perhaps he was right. Every time I escorted one of the girls to what used to be our bedroom, Jessica would look at me with tears in her eyes. I wasn't ready to talk to her yet, but I realized it was inevitable. I couldn't go on like this forever. It was too expensive, both financially and emotionally. About time, I said to myself as I walked to the front door and opened it. Standing in front of me was the most beautiful Hispanic woman I had ever seen. I think I stood staring at her for about 20 seconds before she spoke. I can see by the look on your face that you like what you see. Aren't you going to invite me in? I'm sorry, of course, come on in. It's just that you're so beautiful, I said, feeling like a schoolboy. I'll take that as a compliment. My name is Annie, and you must be Michael, she said, extending her hand. Dan never said you'd turn out to be so attractive. I think I blushed. Hell, I know I blushed. I brought us a bottle of wine for tonight. Do you have a corkscrew handy? She asked. We moved into the kitchen, and I found the corkscrew in the change drawer. You have a beautiful home, Michael. Did you decorate it yourself? She asked. Yes, my wife and I did it ourselves, I replied before I realized what I had said. Taking a small sip of wine, she took my hand and said, Maybe we should go somewhere a little more private. I led her upstairs and closed the bedroom door. Annie looked around the room and peeked into the bathroom. What do you say we take a quick shower and get to know each other better? She asked, moving closer to me and pressing her lips to mine. We made love. There was some kissing and lots of caressing. At first she let me lead, but when it came to the act itself, she took over. Annie and I stayed together for almost 2 hours. Both of us realized when it was time to say goodbye. She showered again, got dressed, and I walked her to her car. We said goodbye like parting lovers, and she drove off. It was nice, but it wasn't Jessica. As I walked into the house, I noticed Jessica peeking out from behind the curtains. Dan, she was nice, but I still felt like I was sleeping with a prostitute, I told him. Michael, let me call you later. I have another option, but this girl works independently and makes her own decisions. Thursday afternoon he called again. Are you free on Saturday? His asked. Yes, why? I replied. Her name is Linda, and she's agreed to meet you, he said. She made reservations at Anthony's for 8 o'clock tonight, and will meet you at the bar at 7:30 sharp. What does she look like? How will I recognize her? See, I asked. Like I said, Linda does it her way. She's going to have a flower, and she said she's going to look her best. That's it? I clarified. Yes, that's it. The rest is up to you. By the way, she costs about $200 more than the other girls, and the payment is up front. I gave Dan my Visa number and made the deal. What happens if I'm not satisfied? I asked. If Linda doesn't do it for you, you die, he said with a laugh before hanging up. Going out tonight? Jessica asked, peeking into my room. I need an evening out of the house to think, I told her. Can we talk tomorrow? Jessica asked. Are you going to tell me the same shit you told me before? I asked. No, she said, looking down at the floor. Well then, tomorrow afternoon. Right now I have to go to dinner, which I don't want to be late for. I walked into the bar and looked around. There were 4 couples and 6 single women at different tables in the room. 3 of them had flowers. The blonde looked stunning and had the kind of shape that would make any man cry. The brunette was a little shorter in stature and looked more like an athlete. Finally, the red-haired woman, about 6 feet tall, with shoulder-length hair, was dressed in a conservative skirt and white blouse. I approached the redhead. Good evening, Linda. I hope I haven't kept you waiting long, I said, extending my hand. What makes you think my name is Linda? She replied with a slight smile. Dan said to look for the prettiest woman in the bar, so it was pretty easy, I said, still not completely sure of my guess. She took my hand, shook it lightly, and asked what I would like to drink. A glass of Crown Royal with no additives, I replied. For the next 3 hours, this red-headed beauty mesmerized me. She was open and not shy to talk about any topic. I told her about Jessica and her cheating, but she brought the conversation back on track. What's the difference between what she did and what you're doing? She asked. You're still married, and 2 wrongs don't make it right, at least in my book, she continued. But I think it's deeper than that. You haven't decided yet if you want her back, have you? She asked. No, I haven't tried, I replied, then offered her coffee or an after-dinner drink. Coffee would be fine, but back to Jessica. How long are you going to keep her hanging on? She asked. I don't have an answer to that question right now. I was a virgin too, and I was completely satisfied with Jessica. Yes, I wished she was a little bolder, but I loved her just the way she was. I don't know if you can understand, but Jessica took something away from me when she cheated on me. She took away my innocence. I lived in a dream world like a soap bubble, and she burst it, I said, playing with my cup of coffee. She released a new me who doesn't want to go back to the old me, but doesn't know if what I'm looking for is there, I continued. It was easier for me because my husband died of cancer. We had a good life, and now I find that once a month or so, I can relax, have fun, and then go back to my normal life. Oh, and the money isn't bad, Linda replied. The next moment the waiter informed us that the restaurant was closing and we would have to leave. Would you like to go to my house? Linda suggested. I had such a wonderful night. Maybe next time, I replied. But you've already paid, she reminded me. So? What makes you think there will be a next time? Linda asked me. I don't know, but I hope there will be one, I said with a smile. Give me your cell phone number, she asked. If I'm interested, I'll call you, okay? I guess that's all I can ask, I replied. I walked Linda to her car and told her again how much fun I'd had. She responded by kissing me on the lips with lots of tongue. You still have time to change your mind, she said. I think this flavor will make me want you even more next time, I said. Assuming there is a next time, of course, I added before walking back to my car. Sunday morning I overslept and didn't get downstairs until almost 11. Jessica was sitting on the back porch reading the paper when I found her. Have you eaten yet? I asked. No, I was waiting for you, but the coffee is ready, Jessica replied. I took a cup of coffee and sat down next to her. Jessica, you weren't the only one who came to our wedding night a virgin. I was a virgin too, I began. I didn't want to talk about it because of my male pride, especially after you started praising me as a wonderful lover, I said, seeing Jessica freeze in surprise. And when you said you needed someone to compare, how do you think I felt? I never knew. Why didn't you tell me, even after what I did? She asked. I explained, it's male pride. I wanted you to think I was experienced enough to give you pleasure. But that doesn't matter now, does it? I'm so sorry. I'd take it all back if I could, she said. I would have stopped seeing him. Yes, I was ready to stop everything, she added, lowering her eyes to avoid looking at me. I felt so dirty afterward, and I knew it was wrong. I just couldn't tell him no, she sobbed. Why should I believe you, Jessica? Do you know that the women at your job suspected you were cheating on me? Donovan was the only one who called and asked if your affair with the coffee vendor was jeopardizing our marriage. How embarrassing it is when a friend calls me and tells me my wife is a slut, I said, shifting to shouting. I wanted to wring your damn neck, I added. Okay, I screwed up, but now there are other women coming to the house day and night. How do you think I feel? Bad. I hope so. I hope you feel terrible for driving me into someone else's arms, I said, looking at her intently. When is this going to end, Michael? When can we try to pick up the pieces and start over? She pleaded. I don't know, Jessica. Maybe when the hatred inside me is gone, or when I just don't care anymore. Right now, I don't have an answer for you, I said. Well, I can't live with you bringing home prostitutes every night to then shove them in my face. I'll be gone by the end of the week, Jessica said, getting up. Where will you go? I asked. Does it really matter? I just have to leave, she replied as she walked back into the house and upstairs. When I got home on Tuesday, she was gone. No note or anything else that said where she had gone. I tried calling her at work, but Donovan said Jessica had taken a vacation and hadn't left an address or phone number. I began to worry. Calls to her parents and sister hadn't yielded any additional information, and I wasn't about to alarm our children. Have I gone too far? I asked myself. No, I don't think so. Linda called me Thursday night to see what I would be doing for the following Friday. I know a quaint little place outside of town, on West 318th Street, that I've been dying to try, she said. Are you up for it? What time on Friday do you want to meet? I asked. Why don't I pick you up at 6:30? The drive will take about 45 minutes. Bring a change of clothes. You owe me a favor. Remember? She said with a laugh. I started to give her my address, but she stopped me. I know where you live. Just be prepared. Friday night I looked out the window, but I still hadn't heard from Jessica. Oh, what the hell am I doing? I said to myself. My wife has flown off to parts unknown, and I'm waiting to be picked up by a sexy woman who wants to take me to bed tonight. What's wrong with this picture? I asked myself. Not 10 minutes later, Linda pulled up in my driveway and honked. Get your ass over here, she yelled. I grabbed my bag, locked the front door, and threw my stuff in the back seat. You better buckle up because I drive pretty fast, she said as we roared down the road. Easy, girl, I begged as she flew down the highway. I don't want to lose my appetite before we even get there, I added with concern in my voice. If my driving makes you nervous, close your eyes, go to sleep, or say a prayer. Take your pick. I tried to do all three, but by then we were almost there. Are you sure your husband didn't die of a heart attack? I joked. Please get the damn bags while I check in, she said as she headed for the office. It was a bed and breakfast, and I learned that we were one of 3 couples staying the night. The room was decorated in Victorian style, with a huge wrought iron king-sized bed. This looks interesting, I said, bouncing on the bed. Maybe we should skip dinner and go straight to dessert, I suggested, trying to hide my nervousness. You can't be that excited, and besides, I'm starving, Linda said, taking my hand. There were only 4 tables in the restaurant, and both the food and service were impeccable. I've never seen a place like this before. How did you even find it? I asked. A friend of mine told me about it and suggested I try it, she said, sipping her wine. Romantic, isn't it? Definitely, I replied. How's your wife doing? She asked. Jessica left me last week and just disappeared, I said. Except for calling the kids, I've contacted everyone, but no one has heard from her, and I'm getting worried. Not enough to cancel our date tonight? She asked. Believe me, I almost did, but I couldn't get in touch with you, remember? You have a blocked number, and Dan sure as hell wasn't going to give me your home phone number, I said. I left a message on my answering machine for Jessica to call me back because we need to talk. I'm afraid she wants a divorce because of all the women I've been bringing home. I wanted to take mine, but I think I overreacted, I admitted. So, have you decided what you're going to do yet? Linda asked in a serious tone. Yes, if she agrees. I'd like to try to save our marriage. After 25 years and raising two wonderful children, I'm willing to try again if she's willing to make some concessions and wants to move on, I said. The problem is I don't know where she is right now, I added as I finished my drink. So, we're not going to have a relationship tonight? I'm sorry, honey. As much as I'd like it, you were right. Two wrongs don't make a right, I said with an almost disappointed look. Well, let's go up to the room anyway. I hear there's a nice view from the deck that's next to the bedroom, she said, taking my hand. Did I want Linda? Hell yes, but more than anything, I wanted Jessica. If things don't work out with Jessica, call me. Maybe I can compensate you for dinner, or at least give you a night you'll never forget, she said with a smile as we entered the room. It's a shame that this room must remain empty tonight. Are you sure I can't talk you into staying? With the way you look today, I have no chance of holding out. I may have a strong will, but I'm a man too. I know that when you get naked, I won't be able to resist. Come out on deck. I'll join you in a minute. I need to check on something, Linda said. She was right. The view of the lake was spectacular, and the reflection of the moon illuminated the shoreline. I was about to ask Linda where she was when suddenly the door to the deck opened. Jessica? Hi, Michael. How did you know where to find me? You can thank Linda for that, she replied. She organized all this to see how you would feel about the prospect of our future. If it were over for us, here she'd be standing and I'd be on my way home. But she just left and we have a room for the night, Jessica said with some uncertainty. So, Michael, what are we going to do next? Jessica, I still don't understand how I started, but she stopped me. Linda and I had been in the same sorority in college, and we had only seen each other a few times after that. All of a sudden, she called me and asked if I was the Jessica who went to FSU and was married to Michael Moore. It was last Monday, and we met for lunch. She told me about your date and the conversation. Everything matched up, and she realized who I was. She was interested in you, but she wasn't going to break our relationship. That's not what sorority sisters do, and that's when she came up with the idea. If you think we're over, she wanted to get to know you better. And if you want to try again, she'll stay away. So, like I said, what do we do next? I seemed to kiss her 1,000 times before I picked her up in my arms and carried her to the bed. Now I understand why they say sex under a mask is the hottest. We enjoyed tender lovemaking all night, and in the morning we had another passionate sex before breakfast. I'm switching suppliers on Monday. I don't want that creep around you, I told Jessica. Don't worry. After you talked to him at the motel, no one saw or heard him. He left his truck in the parking lot with a note saying he had a sudden trip out of state that needed to be taken care of right away. He hasn't been anywhere since. Jessica insisted only that we buy a new mattress for the bed. There was something with the smell of past women. Were we back to where we were before all this? In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. We haven't solved all our problems yet, but we've had a lot of hot and passionate sex. Sometimes I still think about Linda and wonder what would have happened if I had taken her to bed that first night, or never mentioned Jessica by name. Would Jessica and I still be together? That's one issue I'm happy to say I don't have to worry about right now, but I wonder if Jessica and Linda would have objected to a threesome. That's worth considering too,